Yo, what's up, jazz guitar friends? Larry Tamanini here with LT Jazz Guitar under 5 minutes. Yo, you just heard me playing through giant steps, right? One of the greatest challenges that you can play as a jazz guitar player, any jazz musician, right? Write a passage, if you will. Should get like a badge for it. Got the giant steps badge, buddy. Anyway, you kind of never get a badge because there's so much you can do over the song. It's really endless, even though, well, I shouldn't say that. It's finite, but there's a lot of different stuff you can do. Therein lies the problem, right? Many solutions to one problem. So I get a lot of requests since I studied with Pat Martino, and I had a pretty good relationship with him guitaristically for a little bit, to do a guitar video on giant steps using the minor conversion concept. And you know, it's really easy to apply minor conversion concept ideas to this song. A couple reasons. On the original recording, you hear Paul Chambers play. He walks straight down. He doesn't really do the, he doesn't do the minor third thing. And wow, isn't it easier to think a whole step down than a major third up? Especially as a guitar player. You can sort of go on autopilot. And throughout most of the chorus that I played, I'd have to say that about like 59 to 63-ish% were basically minor conversion concept ideas and 1, 2, 3, 5s, right? There was very little maneuvering that I sort of did. There were some, but again, so many different ways to play this song and connect ideas. Sometimes I like the idea of using a small idea in a lot of places. It's easy to fall under the guise to Pat Martino plays such long lines, John Coltrane plays such long lines, but you know what? I'm playing 4-note ideas a lot of the times on a tune like this and getting a workout. All right, so check it out. After the chord melody that I played, a lot of great Philly guitar players have done a chord melody of this, especially my friend Jimmy Bruno. A couple cool voicings there, right? That's 6/7, always a ninth. There's that chord again. There's that chord again. There's that chord again. All right, so after this, the line that I played is what we're really going to talk about. All right, so let's talk about these notes. What I did is I approached this B major. Even though that's a really major chordy idea, it's sort of a minor sound. When I go to the D7, I made it an A minor chord. I played the lick, right? 1, 2, 3, 5, right? Again, using an idea that's familiar in another place, right? It's cool. I'm really into using small bits of information in a lot of different ways versus having large chunks of information to try to get out. All right, so real simple. I mean, you could continue down on this string. I did it here. Played the same exact line, and then a little bit of jazz recycling there. I did a couple different octaves. I played that idea again, repurposed jazz at the LT scrapyard. Oops. You play it here, you're off the 7, 7, 1, 3, 5. I do it here. There's a little bit of an out sound, right? But it's almost like you're playing a C minor. Well, you are playing a C minor over that B minor, like you're playing a G sharp over this B, like I'm playing an E minor over the G, right? So again, repurposing those ideas. Check it out, here it goes again. idea to kind of think vertically too on that, right? And then again, the problem here is that you don't get any color tones. You end up, it's like kind of like it's like a color by numbers. You're going to end up with a cool picture, but it's usually going to be the same picture. And then, once you kind of get to this part, I always feel you can kind of. Right? See, you can never get enough reps on this song. But again, I used a lot of those 1, 2, 3, 5s and a lot of these kind of like minor chord ideas over the major chord. And it's a lot easier to put on the guitar. If you're just playing the patterns, you're not really doing yourself a favor. If you start to think about it, how it lays over dominant chords, you'll eventually get to the part where you're going to want to throw in some other stuff like over that, right? That B makes a big difference. That phrase makes a big difference. Kind of had there's a couple of holding calls on LT there. But, hey, that's what happens. You're playing live music, playing live art, you deal with the mistakes. So, all right, jazz guitar friends, I might have went over, but this is a fun subject. Again, minor conversion concept over giant steps. One of the few tunes where it can lead to some cool stuff on guitar. And it's a mix of pattern and really knowing what you're playing. But the cool thing is you take small ideas and put them over different chords and they lead to cooler things. All right, jazz guitar friends, have a great rest of the week. Bebop!